Okay, folks, it's 1:45 in the morning, February, November 14th. Alright, I have a little idea for you. You ever heard of the game Renaissance Kingdoms? Years ago, when I first saw this game, I thought, it's an interesting concept. But the problem is, it's all text-based. There is some pictures, but again, it's very limited. Now of how it's set up, it's getting closer to what I think it should have been. Or it could be better. Now here's my idea, my take on what I would do and how I would like it to actually be much better. Or my idea is more, let's kind of take a little bit of this and make it completely different. Either way, here it goes. Alright, I don't know what I would call the game, but it would be an MMORPG. You will have is a three-dimensional world. It will take place in Renaissance Europe. That would be, well, in the time spans, it would be like most of Europe is within the Renaissance period, while there would still be pockets of, cities and towns or whatever throughout Europe that's still medieval, still stuck in the medieval time period. Here's the thing, I do not want the game to be exactly realistic to that period, because how about this? Sort of and sort of not. The thing is, you go outside and you might find other people, other players that you end up fighting or whatever. But here's the other thing. You will find the monsters that lurk in the woods in the night that were conjured up by the creations of the minds of the people that existed at that time. For them, these demonic creatures, these wood elves or whatever, gnomes and stuff like that, these creatures that bump in the night, that lurk in the shadows, they were real for a lot of those people. They actually believe in this. Who to say? And they never existed. In my game, they do exist. Plus, I would add is a whole slew of jobs. Alright, when you create your character, you're like a blank canvas. Alright, you can choose what you look like, your height and all this, your gender, whatever, age range of what you look like. There won't be actual stats of saying, oh, you're like 14, 15, whatever. It's kind of like a few other RPGs that do that. You can shrink the character so you can be like a little person, a little kid, to an adult, whatever. Change the height, the body size, yada yada yada. And then there's the actual stats, which would be like, your strength and stuff like that. Here it goes with this. There's going to be different type of leveling. There's whatever profession you do, let's say a baker or a butcher or whatever, candlestick maker. Each of those type of jobs are professions. Well, these professions, even soldier and whatever, you can level up. It doesn't mean that your character is leveled up, it just means the stats of those professions are leveled up. The more you level up in a profession, the more things that you can do. Like, let's say, a baker. It would mean, like, the higher level you're at, you can start be able to make more different things. And you can also do is make it better. You can also put in, let's say, add more stats or points onto it to making, let's say, bread. So you can be a gourmet chef of just bread. there's more to life than bread, you know. But still. But I would have it that you can make a whole slew of different things. And you don't have to really stick with one profession. You can actually switch. It'll be like changing clothes. I want it to be more realistic to real life, where in some ways where you can have skills in cooking, baking, sewing, swordsmanship, calligraphy, whatever. Painting, drawing, whatever. Because people in the Renaissance, a lot of people had more than one trade, and Renaissance artists were true Renaissance men and women. When I mean of true Renaissancean men or Renaissancean women, is that when we think about these people, let's say Leonardo da Vinci, he was a slew of things. We know him as mainly as a man that paints and draws, did statues, and one thing he did a slew of was all these sketches of things such as a contact lens, submarine parachutes, helicopters, tanks. I can go on and on things, gliders, you know, like that. Alright. That's what I want every person to achieve, to say, I want to be who I want to be. Kind of like Second Life in some ways, but not exactly. I want you to be able to make your character. Alright, now, how do you get your stats? Well, there are a slew of ways to get stats, but the easiest way is eating food. In my game, my version, you don't eat to survive, to live, you know. I'm not going to have it where your character has to eat. If it don't, it's going to die. Fuck that. Mine, you eat to basically use it to heal yourself, you know. Let's say you take some damage, your HP is gone down, and you need, well, let's say you don't have any potions, but you have apples. Eat those. But here's the thing. Some of the foods in my game will have is like stats on the foods. Sometimes the stats are good, sometimes they're negative. And these stats are not like, okay, it's only for a limited time. No, these are permanent stats. So you can eat a lot of this particular type of food. That'll increase your stats. Here's another thing that I have with the food. The food has different levels, different grades. You know, just like I'm gonna have like the A, B, C, D, and F rating, and then AA and AAA, which, you know, AAA means it's way better, it's the best. And then when the food, it has like a rating of a gold star, and usually, even if you can't tell what the rating is, it's like, let's say if you found an apple and it's gold, it's going to be really kick-ass. But here's the thing. You know, in the Greek mythology about the golden apple, I will put that in the game. It's going to do pretty much what it does in the mythology. So all I'm going to do is take all of the European different mythologies from Greek and what the Greeks, the Romans, the Celts, the Druidic belief systems, the Norse, the Germanic, the Goths. Take their ancient belief systems, plus the Christianity systems that existed at that time, and the game will take place in the Renaissancean period of Europe. You only get to go throughout Europe. Okay, although the cities will be three-dimensional, the same thing as your character, you can wander around the towns and cities. It's not going to be exact to what the real towns look like. It'll be a close approximation. it'll have like this the feel of death, but you won't be able to go through every place within a city. Like, I won't make the whole entire city of Rome, because you'll just only go through a certain section, and that's it, and more or less. Kind of like in, Dot Hack, you know, where you don't get to see the whole entire city of Macan. You just only, you see it from a distance, but you don't actually get to go everywhere. Kind of the same thing. And alright, travel, the distance, I'm not going to have it exact like in real life, but yeah, once you leave a town, you'll travel through paths and whatever. There will be, you know, actual field maps, as it were. You know, you actually three-dimensional fields you go through. Kind of like, I would say, like, not Diablo, like Skyrim, there you go. Kind of like Skyrim, within that, you know, of you be able to travel quite a distance, and yet, in real life, you're not really it's not really taking you that long, it's not really that far, because if I really had the real distance between, let's say, from Rome to London, England, that will take you a long ass time just to freaking walk that way. Even if you can go a straight line, it will take a long time. I wouldn't have it in a real lifetime. Here's the other thing. Like if you want to travel from, let's say, the British Isles to mainland Europe, the only way you're going to do that is by boat. Well, you can take a boat, you know, go on. The thing is, it will not be in real time. Like in real life, it would take quite a bit of time to travel from France to England, you know, to the British Isles, just by sailing. So it'll just be like you walked on, paid your fare, get on, and then you're already at your destination port, as it were, and you get off. That's basically what it would show. Unless, if you get attacked by pirates, then you'll have is the scene where pirates are invading your ship, and basically anyone that's on that ship has to basically fight. Alright, your character. I'm gonna make it that your character is pretty much immortal, more or less. You die, you get, you know, resurrected, as it were. No, actually, it's more like respawned. There you go. Yeah, just like Blink. You know, your HP goes down until you die, and then you start all over, more or less. You just start all over from the point where you're at. Kind of the same thing. Alright, there'll be items, you know, clothing, weapons, things like that your character can wear and stuff. You can upgrade. You can do is make your own clothing, your own weapons, and things like that. You can buy stuff. Alright, when a person becomes really good at making, let's say, a sword, they could actually do is name it. Now, a lot of the items would say it's made by this person. It would just specify. Unless if you get an item that's from an NPC, then it's completely different. It's like, okay, the NPC stores will have it the plain format of the object. If you go to some, you know, a player character's actual store, or you go to the marketplace where, you know, player characters just, you know, sell their stuff there. You know, I won't have it where a marketplace where you actually have to stand around like in Ragnarok, you know, Ragnarok Online, where a lot of people just stood there and they just basically had a whole mess of stuff, and when merchant mode, they, you know, set up shop and just, you know, had that going when they were actually playing. It was, you know, the game was still going, but you know, They weren't at the keyboard, AFK, basically. Like, who'd want to stay there for hours waiting for, to be sold? I usually never stayed that long because in Ragnarok Online, the original, my character, she sold was juices, fruit juices. I found a way in a spot to get the items that I need, like the different fruits, really, really quick and easy, and a whole mess of them. And same thing with the bottles. Plus, how to get the juice being made, like for free. I found an in-game loophole. It's actually kind of difficult to find in the beginning, but once you found it, voila, you can make so much money. All I did was, I saw other people that did do that, and they would sell it for an enormous amount. I sold it really cheap. I undersold everyone. Plus, I had more, product than anybody. My store was called Juicy Juice. And it usually never stayed open for an hour. It was always within 10 to 30 minutes at most. And my whole entire product was sold. Like, boom. I just, when I first did this, I thought, okay, it's more like, let's see. I had a shitload of potions. I had a character that made stuff, but I had my first character, she was a merch. I just gathered a whole mess of shit, and I just fucking sold it. Especially the Juicy Juice. When I started doing Juicy Juice, that's when I was making bank. Even though that I was underselling everyone. It was ridiculous. Even potions, I got like so many potions, and I just sold it like that. Alright, I'm going to do something like that with this game. I still don't know what it would be called. Let's just say, the Renaissance or whatever. Except the marketplace would be where you go and you can actually see the items and whatever. You can go through, so you can actually buy the item you want from it. You look at each of the stats, like look at a list of swords, whatever, but it won't be the burden of where an actual player has to stay there. And no, these marketplaces are within towns, and they just store their stuff there, put their stuff there, and set it to a price. And then when it sells, it sells. It won't be like first come type thing. It'll be like you go to the armory section and you can see all the different swords by different people that made them or had extras bought, whatever, like NPC swords, and just show you the stats. And if it's somebody that made it, it says it was made by this person, And if they're really good, a lot of times it has really high stats. And if they're really, really good, they could actually rename it to let's say like Excalibur or something like that, whatever. It would be ungodly stats, really kick-ass a lot of times, and it would be unique of the way it looks. In other words, like the actual image design won't be like your regular NPC sword or some of the lower grades, other people make. I will have level of grading more or less for all items. Food is easier, A, B, C, D, F, double A, triple A, gold star. Of quality of food. Stuff, it's more of, you look at the stats, like what defense it brings, physical, magic. I want to go with the stat system like in the original games. You know, where it had was physical and magical defense and attack. I like that. I really like that. And plus, the elements, fire, water, earth, wind, light, dark, all that shit. That type of thing. I actually like that. That type of, elements. I'll have, like, classes or, like, alchemist, witch hunter, and besides the basic stuff, but some of the more extravagant ones, even being a doctor or the infamous plague doctor. In my game, if you get the equipment, you find the equipment, buy it, you can actually do is call yourself a plague doctor. All to get up to look like a plague doctor. You can be one. You can sell if you have enough constitution, more or less, and you can basically bullshit a nobleman. Alright, in my game, it's kind of like Renaissance kingdoms in some ways. Well, what I'm saying that is like in Renaissance kingdoms, positions such as like mayor, a sheriff, all these other titles are these positions of power, as it were, are usually, you're elected. You're elected to those positions. Let's say ruler. In mine, you can fight, and if you win and stuff, you can actually have enough power, whatever. You can actually control and become the ruler of a vast amount of land, kingdoms and stuff like that, provinces, territories. You can actually try to rule all of Europe. Yes, if you want. You can try. Who knows? Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But that's pretty much my idea. Alright. Here's the other thing. Like in overall, let's say, we know that RPGs, they're only good not just on the mechanics, the way it looks, its design. It's the shitload of items and spells and things you can do in the freaking game, which I will have. If somebody actually makes this, I would be stoked. Even if I don't make it, I don't care. Storyline. I was thinking having multiple stories over time, like maybe in the beginning would be the war, things that really did happen in real life. I was thinking about doing that. Probably another thing is the search for the Holy Grail, stuff like that, Then people searching for this mythical king. I think his name was Pastor John. Either way, during the Crusades, there was this king who, I believe his name was Pastor John, and he was supposed to be this really rich and powerful Christian king. He ruled in this very hidden, secular Christian kingdom that was somewhere in the East. Sometimes people thought maybe it's in Africa. People searched everywhere for this guy. There was this letter that came, supposedly it was from this man, stating that he will give aid. Just let me know, He would also send a letter to a nobleman that was fighting in one of the Crusades, stating that to come over to his kingdom, and he will protect them from, invading Muslims and other riffraff out there in the world. Well, search for this guy. Not because of his wealth, but he was supposed to be this Sebastian of Christian power, as it were, you know. Military might, they want an ally. Other people are searching for him was for economic, mainly just as a military ally than anything else. And no one could find this freaking guy or his kingdom. And yeah, I was thinking, maybe you actually can find him. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Like I said, the game pretty much is going to take place throughout Europe. You're not going to say, oh, I'm going to travel to the New World. No. Because I want to keep it, like, locked in one section. Because I really don't want to go through the whole freaking world, because that's really, really huge. Okay. Oh yeah, another story idea to add on to within the game, you know, storyline, which is like fighting demons. You know, like I said, the demons and monsters do exist in the game, but what if you're fighting to stop the demonic horde trying to take over all of Europe, causing a second Dark Age, but worse, where it's not just stupidity that roams the land, but also death and destruction, plagues, pestilence, you know, whole slew of shit, you know, and where people think, oh my god, it's the reckoning, you know, type of shit that you're trying to stop, the destruction of everything. And plus, I was thinking about adding, like, some towns that still believe that they're part of the Roman Empire, or part of, let's say, the Byzantine Empire, as it were, you know, pockets of that, because it's still in that period. So I never specified an actual date, because remember, the Renaissance period existed. You can really think about it existed as soon as Rome fell. The Roman Empire fell. The reemergence of the Roman culture, it was continuing flourishing, which was in Constantine, or Constantinople, or also known as before it was known as Constantinople, it was New Rome. And before that, it was Byzantine. It was a Greek city. The Greeks went there, built a city, called it Byzantine. The Romans conquered the Greeks, and it was still called Byzantine until Emperor Constantine went there to create a secondary power. It was going to be a second city of Rome, basically. So he changed the name to New Rome. Well, that's what it would be in English. But the people didn't really have it that way. It stayed New Rome for a while until the people decided, nah, we're going to change the name and name it after the emperor and call it Constantinople. The city of Constantine. That's where. Well, and then it was changed back into Byzantine, and then the Muslims came in, and then they changed the name to Istanbul. Same city. So in my period, I was thinking that the game takes place not in the exact period, but I'm going to have Byzantine still part of the Byzantine Empire, where the flourishing, the beginning of the Renaissance started. And then from there, of all the knowledge that they gathered, they had Roman knowledge, but they gathered more as they were trying to gain control of more of the lands and rebuild the empire. The Roman Empire, that is. Now, the new form of it, which became Byzantine Empire. Okay. Enough history. But basically, that's kind of it. From that period all the way to the end of the Renaissance. I'd say parts of the Europe that I have in this game will still be part Roman, some part, within medieval Europe. Yeah. Well, that's my idea. Ciao for now.